Hello freedivers, welcome to Freedive Passion. Today I'll be discussing my favourite dry equalisation training. So why do dry equalisation training? Well, one reason is that you can do it anywhere. You don't need access to depth or any special training equipment. Any moment is the right moment for dry equalisation training. You can do it driving to work, you can do it in the elevator, you can do it waiting in line at the shops, you can do it in bed. And this is the real value, because you can get lots and lots of time practicing your equalisation throughout the day, no matter where you are in the world. Another reason dry equalisation is great is that you're not distracted by anything. You can give 100% focus to your equalisation and work out exactly what's going on and how to make it perfect. A third reason dry equalisation is great is it's very time efficient. Even if you have access to deep water, I would say dry equalisation training is better than just equalising in the water. The reason is, most of your time spent in the water on a depth session isn't spent equalising. Even if you have an hour and a half session, most of that time is going to be setting up equipment, putting on your own equipment, breathing up, watching other divers. A very small amount of that time will be actually equalising, probably less than 10 minutes in an hour and a half. Whereas if you just dedicate 20 minutes to dry equalisation each day, then you've already doubled the amount of equalisation training that you would have done in a much smaller amount of time. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you want to improve your equalisation, you need to develop an awareness of the different muscles used in equalisation. The three muscles are the epiglottis, the soft palate, and the tongue. First of all, I'm going to talk about the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a muscle in your throat which is used to close off your trachea and the airway going down to your lungs. It's about here, and what it is, basically there's like your trachea and this little flap which will just seal the trachea. You've never consciously used it before, it's going to be really tricky to get a hang of it at first, but if you put the work in and if you practice, for sure you'll get it. For me to develop an awareness of my epiglottis, it helped to think about the times I used it without knowing that I use it. So two examples are when you cough and when you hiccup. If you try and just do a few fake hiccups now and you break it down, what's happening is you're trying to take a breath in, your epiglottis closes, you continue trying to breathe in, but the epiglottis won't let air come in, which is creating a negative pressure in your lungs. I'll demonstrate again. Okay, you can probably feel it in your throat here if you concentrate. You'll feel this is where this pressure against your epiglottis as your lungs are trying to expand. The second time we use our epiglottis subconsciously is when we cough. So when you cough, you take a breath in, your epiglottis will close. You'll start to try and breathe out, but because the epiglottis is closed, you won't be able to. As the epiglottis releases, you'll cough. So to give you an example, okay, epiglottis open, epiglottis closed. Epiglottis is open, close, open. So you can do this repeatedly to get a good feeling of where the epiglottis is. And a great training is to, when you take the breath in and you close the epiglottis and you increase that pressure, normally the pressure would release quite quickly, creating the cough. Try and hold the epiglottis longer as you have the pressure on your epiglottis. So this is teaching you to actually control the epiglottis and keep it closed for a bit longer. Once you've got a decent awareness of your epiglottis, the next exercise I really recommend is external breath holds. The great thing about external breath holds, and don't push your limits or anything, it's better just to do it until you first start to feel like you want to breathe, and then just repeat it quite often than do like one mammoth external breath hold. Okay, So the cool thing about external breath holds is you'll have a negative pressure in your lungs. So if you haven't closed your epiglottis, the air is just going to rush into your lungs. Also, when you do close your epiglottis, you have some feedback because you can feel that negative pressure pulling on your epiglottis. So to give you an example, it should look like this. Okay. If air's not coming in, you should feel the pressure here. If you feel the pressure more around the back of the throat than here, then probably you've closed your soft palate, and that's what's stopping the air coming in. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Okay, the more you practice, the better you'll get. You will get it if you train. The second muscle that we use to equalize is the soft palate. The soft palate, if you want to know where it is, you will have to run the tongue along the top of your mouth from behind your teeth. You'll feel it's hard, 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 and then as you get towards the back, it becomes soft. That's your soft palate. Again, to increase an awareness of this, it's good to try and think of times that you use it without necessarily knowing that you were using it. So the best example that I can give is when you snore or when you pretend to snore. So as you're snoring, when you breathe in, what's happening is the soft palate is opening and closing, creating a vibration. Okay, if you do that, you'll be able to feel where the soft palate is at the top and back of your mouth. Once you've done that a few times, then you can try to fully close the soft palate and stop the breath in, like this. The whole time being aware of what's actually happening inside your mouth. The next level is to try and cut out the snoring, and as you breathe in and as you breathe out, you can use the soft palate to restrict the breath, like this. Okay, so again, the more often you do that, the greater your awareness of the soft palate will become. Just so you know, for all types of equalization, the soft palate should always be open. But knowing how it feels when it's closed and how it feels to open it will give you the type of awareness you need just to make sure that soft palate is open. So the way these muscles are used together for Frenzel or for mouthfill will be the epiglottis is closed and the soft palate is open. Again, it's hard to know if you're doing this properly without feedback. So the best tool that I found is just to get yourself a rubber balloon, clean out the inside because it generally comes with some weird powder and you don't want that in your sinuses. You'll blow up the balloon, do a full breath out, put the balloon in your mouth. If you close your epiglottis, the air won't go down into the lungs. If you open your soft palate, the air from the balloon will start to come out your nose. So again, you have feedback that your muscles are in the correct position. So to give you an example, okay, full breath out, close the epiglottis, open the soft palate. Okay, so I was closing my nose and opening my nose to get extra feedback that everything is happening properly. If I close my nose, the air should stop coming out the balloon. When I open it, the air is allowed to come back out of the balloon. Okay, this is my favorite dry equalization training. The third muscle that we use to equalize is the tongue. And there's two different positions that the tongue will need to be in. when you equalize. The majority of the time it's going to be in what's called the T-lock. Again, to become aware of when you use this, when you put your tongue in this position, you just say the letter T, T, T. If you break it down, you'll be sealing your tongue just behind the teeth on the gums, creating pressure behind the tongue. As you release that pressure, the sound comes out. T, T. For equalization, you put the tongue in the same position, but you never release the pressure. You'll build up the pressure and then by pushing the tongue back against the air, which is going to reduce the airspace inside your mouth, increase the pressure, and equalize your ears. For most of your Frenzel on the way down, you never need to move your tongue from this position, not until the very last Frenzel that you have. The second position your tongue will need to be is what's called the K-lock. So again, you can become aware of where the tongue needs to be by saying K, K, K. What happens when you say K is the tongue moves up and back against the top of the mouth. You then increase the pressure behind the tongue, and as you release the pressure, as you release the tongue, the sound K comes out. So again, to do the K-lock, you put the tongue in that position, but you just never release the pressure. You don't make the actual sound, you just put your tongue in that position. The reason we use the K-lock is when you don't have much air left in your last Frenzel, or you don't have much air left in your mouthfill. The K-lock really reduces the amount of space inside your mouth, so you'll push all the remaining air from your mouthfill behind your K-lock. You've reduced the amount of space in your mouth, so it's easier to increase the pressure and equalize your ears. So again, keep practicing this until you can do it without having to make the sounds, until your tongue automatically goes into the correct positions. Okay, so that's the 3 muscles that we use to equalize. Now we've got to put it all together. So the first training I'll give you is Frenzel training. Apart from the things that I've taught you, the control that I've taught you, another thing that will make people slip up is actually running out of air behind their Frenzel. This happens because as you descend, the air in your mouth is going to be compressed. You're also going to use it to equalize your sinuses and your ears. So this exercise helps you to practice topping up the air behind your Frenzel. And you should do this quite regularly, because if you wait too long, then all kinds of weird stuff can happen and you can mess up your equalization. So what you do is you close your epiglottis, open the soft palate, and keep the tongue in the T-lock. It never needs to move from the T-lock. You do 3 equalizations, hold the pressure on the last equalization, open the nose so you lose the pressure out your nose, then close the nose again, and then you just make a sound. Making this sound will bring more air up, so then you now have enough air to equalize again. 3 more equalizations, hold the last one, release the nose, and repeat. Okay, so it should look like this. To add an extra bit onto this training, what you can do is once you've released the pressure from your nose, close the nose again. Don't make the sound to bring up air. Instead, slip your tongue back into the K-lock. By doing that, without actually bringing more air up from your lungs, you should still be able to equalize because you've reduced the airspace inside your mouth. So it will look like this. The only time you need to do this is with your last Frenzel or with the last bit of your mouthfill. Otherwise, you're just making things way more complicated than they need to be. If you Frenzel all the way down, leave your tongue in the T-lock until you feel like you can no longer bring up air. When you feel like you can no longer bring up air, keep your tongue in the T-lock for as long as you can. When that's running out, you can switch to the K-lock. The same with mouthfill. As your mouthfill is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, when you feel like there's no longer enough air to equalize with the T-lock, then switch to the K-lock. Next I'm going to discuss dry mouthfill training. So again, the thing most people struggle with mouthfill, apart from just opening up the glottis, is switching from the different ways you need to equalize depending on how much air is in your mouth. So what I like to do to practice this is I'll take a mouthfill, do a few equalizations, then let a little bit of air out my nose. Do a few more equalizations, let a bit more. A few more equalizations, let a bit more. And the whole time I'm switching from the different positions I need to use. So me personally, when I have a full mouthfill, I'll just use the pressure from the air in my cheeks to equalize my ears. As I'm running out of pressure in the cheeks, I'll start to Frenzel with the T-lock. Once I'm starting to run out of air in my T-lock, I'll take the remaining air in my cheeks and put that behind my T-lock. As that's running out, I'll then switch to the K-lock. I'll then equalize with the K-lock for as long as I can. When I can no longer do that, then it's game over. So to give you an example, I'll show you how I do it. Okay. This is great training. The more often you do it, the more second nature it will be, and the easier it will be in the water. That's all we have time for today, guys. Just practice these techniques and you will be able to equalize, okay? If you want to thank me for this awesome video, then just share the video, share it on Facebook, get the word out about my channel, and you'll probably also help a lot of people to learn to equalize as well. I'm going to be releasing new videos every week, so if you've got any idea for videos, post it down below. If you have any comments or questions, you can post that down below as well. Until next time, take it easy and dive safe.